Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our LifeWave and X39 introductory call. I'm your host, Robin Blank Mascari. We get together every Tuesday evening. We have a rotation of wonderful doctors with us, and this evening we have our special MD, Dr. Jeffrey Hubbard, with us. Love having each and every one of them. I get to learn from all of them. And what we do in our call is give an introduction to LifeWave. It's a very, very special company that dramatically changed my life, and I love sharing with you about it. So we do a little history of the company and the founder, David Schmidt. Then we talk a little bit about the technology and introduce people because we have many guests on the line, and we give a special warm welcome if you're brand new checking out LifeWave. This is a great place to be. And then after that, we turn things over to you. So if you have testimonials, please mention it in the chat by raising your hand. And if you have a question, write that in the chat. So we will get as many as we can this evening. And let's see, what else do I want to say? Oh, a little disclaimer. We are not here to heal, cure, or diagnose any kind of diseases. Please reach out to your healthcare practitioner. We are a natural products company. So when you talk about your wonderful stories, which we love hearing, please mention symptoms only. And in your questions, symptoms only. And that'll keep us nice and compliant. So we appreciate that. Okay, let's get started. Ready? LifeWave, who are they? LifeWave is a 16-year-old company. It's a research and science company that was founded in 2004 by David Schmidt. And David had created some technology prior to that for a government contract. And it was a very successful product. But the government changed its focus. And so David went in another direction and realized that this powerful technology needed a voice to share with people. And so he chose network marketing, relationship marketing, multi-level marketing, whichever you want to call it. We are very proud of this profession. I love it. I've been full-time 20 plus years. I personally came on as a customer because I was looking to get rid of some knee pain and didn't want to have another knee replacement, and was researching stem cell injections. And I got one of those amazing calls that changed my life, and you could be one of those that gives that call to someone else. And a friend shared with me this technology that dramatically, it took away the pain in a week, and I couldn't not share it. So as a customer, I transformed and kept sharing it, turned into a business, and then turned into a sense of responsibility to literally shout from the mountaintops this truly historic breakthrough that we have that we're going to talk about in a little bit. The star of our show is X39. We call it our stem cell activation patch, and it does so much more. So a little bit more about the company. We are based in San Diego and in Galway, Ireland. We have 2 distribution centers. We service over 75 countries around the world with 14 distribution centers. But the really exciting part is it's a mature company that is taking off right now. And it's taking off because of this historic breakthrough with the newest product called X39, our stem cell activation product. So the company has been around for a while. In 2018 to 2019, they tripled in growth in sales. And that was after the introduction of this new patch. We have a technology that comes in a patch form. It looks like this. It's actually about the size of a quarter, and it uses light technology, so we're going to, describe all this in just a little bit. And our founder and owner is also an inventor. David Schmidt has over 100 patents and patent pendings to his name. He's constantly wanting to enhance the human condition, crack the code on aging, and he's done it. He has done something that the multi-billion-dollar companies have not been successful doing, and has become very well known in scientific circles around the world because of that. He cracked the code on activating something called the copper peptide GHK-Cu. And if you're new, we really invite everyone, no matter if you're new or not, to do your own research. If you're a practitioner, you might want to research on pubmed.gov or your favorite search engine and just take a look at what that does. And we're going to get into that in a little while. And so David is constantly in the lab trying to figure out what's next. And he keeps coming up with things that are literally life-changing. And I know that every day when I wake up, I'm going to hear miracle stories. And I love that. It's a gift to me and a gift to the world to share something that's safe, natural, affordable, and most importantly, incredibly effective. So let's jump in a little bit further here. Let's see here. Let me talk about the different phases of the company. The first phase was the first patch that David developed for the Navy SEALs, and it was called the Energy Enhancer. It was phase 1, and that patch was designed to access body fat, run energy through your body based from your body fat, clean, solid, stable energy. If your energy needs to go up, it goes up. If it needs to go down, it goes down. It's something that's quite miraculous. And what happened was back in 2004, David got a call from Richard Quick. Richard Quick was the women's Olympic swim coach. And he said to David, 6 of my 8 swimmers did their personal best. Amazing. And the word got out because people started seeing these patches all over swimmers' bodies and lots of media coverage. This patch actually enhances athletic performance, strength, and stamina, while it also reduces recovery rate. So it's a favorite tool for people, for athletes, whether they're Olympic athletes or NBA, NFL, it's being used all over the world in just about every sport you can think of. And if you want to learn more about that, you can go to lifewave.com and go all the way down to the black section at the bottom and click on the newsroom, and you'll see all kinds of articles that have been in magazines. And it's very exciting. So that was phase 1, was when the first patch came out called Energy Enhancer. Then David realized that that patch actually had some pain relief properties to it. So he went back to the lab, and in the lab, he actually tweaked it a bit and created the Ice Wave. That patch is our most demonstrable patch that we have, because the vast majority of people that use it have instant or rapid pain relief. And it's a non-transdermal patch, means there's nothing going into the body other than a frequency of light. The next patch he came out with was another symptom-related patch called Silent Night, which was used in hospitals in Europe instead of sleep medication. And it helped the body create more melatonin and help people with deeper sleep. And that was phase 1. Phase 2 was the anti-aging phase, where David got into patches that put the brakes on aging. And that's eon, glutathione, and carnosine. And tonight we focus on the star of the show, X39. And there's lots of information about all the other products we have. But we're going to stay focused into the third phase, which is the regenerative phase. And regenerative science doesn't just put the brakes on aging, it actually turns the clock back. And we do have I just learned recently from our VP of Marketing, Jim Caldwell, we now have over 100 clinical studies and more happening all the time that are proving the efficacy of this product. And that's why we have thousands of healthcare practitioners that are drawn to work with us, because it enhances the clinical outcome of the work with their patients and clients. So this time, what I want to do, I want to make sure I went over everything I want to talk about, because I'm going to bring our guest on at this time. And our guest is someone who I've grown to really, really appreciate. He's a dear, dear man. He happens to be an MD and also has an MS in physiology. He lectures. He's the founder and president and CEO of Comedicare, which is an innovative health and wellness ecosystem that strives to remediate health disparities and tackle chronic illness here and abroad. He's envisioned an innovative platform, holistic healthcare delivery that focuses on prevention and wellness. He's here to educate people. He has an allopathic background, but he's also very much about prevention and education. And he's building a LifeWave business here in the U.S. and in Africa. And I want to welcome Dr. Jeffrey Hubbard.
Hi there, how are you?
I'm great. It's wonderful to have you. It's fun to see your beard growing. It's winter time in Texas, right?
Well, it's not cold, but it is winter technically.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Uncharacteristically warm.
yes. Well, there you go. Oh, really? Okay. What was uncharacteristically warm in Montana today? It was 50 degrees and sunny. It's amazing.
Wow.
I know. There's a lot of wow going on, isn't there? So let's get started, Dr. Jeff. You came on board with LifeWave a while ago. It'll be about a year now. And as an MD and a healthcare practitioner who works with patients and educates people, why did you choose to incorporate LifeWave into your practice?
Oh, well, it's such a dynamic product. I mean, that's the number one thing. I'm always on the hunt for new and sophisticated technologies that are natural and healthy and affordable and all of the things that LifeWave technology is. And so I'm just pleased to have bumped into the technology. And once I started to experience it for myself and shared it with a few colleagues and loved ones, and everybody started to have the same sort of experience that I had, I knew that it was something that needed to be incorporated long term.
Love it. Love it. Isn't it wonderful to have something, like you said, that's safe, that's natural, that's affordable, and more importantly, that works. And it is a cutting edge technology. Truly, it's a historic breakthrough. So let's talk a little bit before we jump into the technology. We like to focus on the X39 or stem cell patch. And a lot of people hear stem cells in the media. It is the future of medicine, but people don't really know what they are. So could you briefly explain what are stem cells and why are they so important in health and regeneration?
Absolutely. Well, so stem cells are a very primitive type of cell. Actually, it's the most primitive type of cell. So imagine the fetus is growing in utero. Actually, the embryo is growing in utero, and each type of cell needs to be developed and needs to grow. And so these cells represent a primitive state where it can be differentiated into any particular type of embryological tissue. So there's three different types of embryological tissue: the ectoderm, which represents really our exterior, our skin, our hair, our nails, our nervous system. The mesoderm is our soft tissue, muscle, bone, heart, lungs, kidneys, etc. And then the endoderm is our gut. So it's our esophagus, stomach, small and large intestine, liver, pancreas, etc. So that's the beauty of these pluripotent stem cells that the X39 is capable of creating, because they can replenish any particular cell type. So they are on the hunt for inflammation, for trauma, for any sort of scar tissue, and they help to regenerate and redevelop those types of tissues.
Great. So didn't we all start out as a stem cell?
We did.
That was the beginning. We all started, and then differentiation happens. So when we're young, would you share about what happens through the aging process of how many we have and what happens?
Well, yes. So, as a teenager, you're producing the most ample amount of stem cells, and as we age, those stem cells begin to decline. So, at about 38, so at about 35 or so, you're operating at about 50%. When you get to your 60s, you're operating at about 10% of your normal stem cell amount. And so that creates some significant challenges with healing and rebuilding from falls or trauma or anything like that. So that's the essentially the difference between you falling out of the tree at 10 and you falling and breaking your hip at 75. It just doesn't repair and rebuild the same way.
So when we're young, and anyone who's got children knows that when kids hurt themselves, they just heal like that. But
Immediately.
older
almost.
we get, the faster we age, the slower we heal because we don't have enough of those stem cells left to do the repair and regeneration. So this is pretty exciting that we have a product that can help us actually not just activate our own younger stem cells, but create more. So before we get into talking about the product itself, the technology is quite fascinating, and it's simple, but it has a big word. So it's called photobiomodulation. So could you share a little bit, what is that and what's happening in the body with that technology?
Well, it's just a fancy scientific name for light therapy, and essentially, it's a science that understands how our body, our biochemistry, and our physiology respond to light. And so, most the most common example is UV light from the sun, and that basically can create vitamin D increases. It can increase melanin and give us a suntan. Those sorts of things. Those are very common examples. But Mr. Schmidt has developed several other proprietary frequencies that are capable of encouraging the body to produce molecules that are known to be beneficial and therapeutic for us.
Wow. So it's really light coming into our body. That, how does it work? So how does this thing actually work?
Actually, so you're holding it up. You can see I got my little prop here too. You can see here that there's a fiber mesh and it's encased in a plastic. On that fiber mesh, you have a liquid nanocrystal technology, and it's designed to reflect thermogenic heat, the heat that our body emits 24/7. And so there are certain frequencies of light within our thermogenic heat that we emit. And basically, what has happened is Mr. Schmidt has found the right nanocrystals to reflect that energy back into the skin. And so that frequency of light is then, um, responded to by the body, and we produce all sorts of molecules. The cool part about it is that these molecules are already produced. What we call them is endogenous. Endogenous means that our body already produces those molecules. Unfortunately, many of these really powerful molecules, they decline with age, as we mentioned, with stem cells, with GHK copper peptide, with glutathione, with carnosine. All of them tend to decline with age. So there's a really powerful benefit in raising the production of those molecules in our bodies, and the experiences that we have are a result of this amazing technology.
Love it, love it, love it. So X39 is the name of the product. And what are some of the benefits that people can experience, Dr. Jeff, from utilizing this technology?
Oh, the experiences are endless. To be honest, we're still finding out all of these different things that happen. But some of the more notable ones that occur with GHK copper peptide are improvement in sleep, improvement in energy levels, really powerful for our mental capacity, mental clarity, focus, memory. Just general mood enhancement is also one that I've noticed. It just makes you feel good. Um, Pain relief, collagen production. Our skin tends to improve and be more pliable and soft and healthy looking. And there's been some changes in libido and sexual health, circulation, cardiovascular stuff. I mean, people tend to recover from illness and workouts and those sorts of things. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. This GHK copper peptide that is produced when you wear X39, it works on a genetic level. So there's about 4,200 genes that it engages with, and all of those are designed to make the body work more effectively long term and raise longevity. So that's really the key there. So aside from the stem cell component that it has, it programs your body in a biohack, right? It makes your genes say, hey, I'm going to produce the types of proteins and molecules that are going to make the body function optimally.
So everything gets better.
Essentially, that's what we're experiencing. That
And
everything
everybody's
seems to
body
improve.
is different. And so, um, who's this technology for?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I believe everybody should be wearing the technology, but our seniors tend to really get a powerful experience. Anybody who's had any sort of traumatic injury or has any sort of symptomology, long-term illness type of deal, all of them are going to get some benefits. And I know you already made the disclaimer that these products don't heal, treat, or cure anything. And I think a great way to explain how they work is that they bring the body into what we call homeostasis or physiological balance. And we're just blessed with a really powerful vehicle, guys. We have Ferraris that we're riding around in. And if you change the oil, if you give your car a tune up, if you rotate the tires, change the tires, and make sure that it's functioning properly and put good fuel in, your vehicle will run for years and years and years to come. And so to me, that's really how powerful this patch technology is because it puts our body into a state of healing. And at that point, the body tends to heal itself and do a lot of different things that we weren't even capable of understanding. And you just kind of watch the magic happen. That's really quite interesting how everything happens.
It does feel like magic, doesn't it? So, would you say these things are Ferraris? Yes.
That's my, Porsche, Ferrari,
I love
Lamborghini,
it.
however you
We're
want to describe it.
high performance vehicles we are, aren't we? And
Exactly.
and I love how you shared, Dr. Jeff, that the body is does the miracles. We're just assisting it with some frequencies, but the body's actually doing the work. And we're just giving a little assist. And isn't that exciting? One last thing before we open things up. What are for the patches to be most effective for people, what are the conditions that are important? How long is it worn? Anything else you want to share?
Sure, I think so. In order to, let's see, how do we want to tackle this? Number one, you want to be properly hydrated. Okay, that's number one. You want to drink ample amounts of water. There's different schools of thought about that. Some people say it's about your weight. Some people say it's about how frequently you're urinating, or what other uh, things you're doing as far as your hydration levels. But whether or not you're hydrated. I'll leave it right there. Be properly hydrated, and you need proper mineral balance. And there's three specific minerals that I want to point out. One is magnesium, copper, and zinc. All right. So everybody should be having zinc on deck to help their immune system during the pandemic anyway. But magnesium and copper also have been shown to ensure that the patch is working most effectively. And let's see. That's. I mean,
How
I think
long do they wear the patches?
so. You should wear the patches for 12 hours a day, or if you want to wear them every other day, you can wear them for 24 hours. I personally like to wear my patches every day. And I was of the school of thought that, hey, I want to wear this thing 24/7. I don't ever want to take it off. I want to make sure that I'm getting the benefits of the patches. But in actuality, that can be a little bit of overkill. So you want to give your body a chance to rest so that every time your body experiences that frequency, it immediately begins to produce those molecules. So you want to give your body a chance to rest. So usually I do when I wake up 8 to 8 in the evening, and then I have a nighttime regimen. So each patch has its own frequency. So you can, as long as you don't wear the same patch for more than 12 hours, you're good to go. So you can alternate.
Great. And I know a lot of people ask, can you wear more than one patch? So you just answered that. As long as it's not the same patch 24 hours, or you can, have multiple patches on at the same time. So it's totally safe to do that. Well, wonderful. Is there anyone who shouldn't be wearing the patches?
Well, so there's a contraindication for people who may be undergoing chemotherapy, just because those particular pharmaceutical drugs are designed to kill cells, and the X39 is the exact opposite. It's going to help replenish cells, and so sometimes those two can work against each other. and can prevent what your oncologist is trying to create in the body. So anybody who's suffering from cancer should talk directly to their oncologist and should share with them their desire to wear the patches. And I've always found that practitioners are a little hesitant, but if you provide them with some literature and some articles and some documentation that really helps them to understand how the patches work, they're usually more receptive. And then obviously, if you're taking any sort of anti-rejection drugs, if you had a transplant or anything like that, that also can create some contraindications or some things that need to be discussed with your clinician. So I'm just a big proponent. Keep everybody aware of what's going on because when they begin to see how powerful the technology works, then usually you have a customer on top of the fact that you have somebody who can give more insight into why or how to manage everything that's going on with you.
Yeah, it's the easiest thing I've ever shared with people, but people just kind of hear about it and want it. Let's shift over to our, let's see, we have Dr. Pam who wants to ask you a question, and I've been wanting to introduce you to. So this is exciting for me. So I'm going to, you guys are kindred spirits. So Dr. Pam, why don't you unmute your line and we can.
Okay. Well, I'm just really happy to encounter you in person there, Dr. Jeff. But I wanted to ask you about carnosine, and if I know we're talking more about the X39 tonight, and it may be a conversation for another time. But how have you used the carnosine patch?
Well, personally, I wear the Carnocin patch a lot. I noticed that it helps me to recover from my workouts, and it helps to help modulate my blood pressure and my cardiovascular fitness. And my uncle, who is a sees a cardiologist regularly and has some heart issues, he has started to notice some really significant improvement in his heart function with wearing carnosine. Now, it's hard to isolate. He wears a lot of different patches, but carnosine is been proven to have some really significant improvements for cardiovascular function and nerve health, and it's also a really powerful antioxidant. So I just keep those things in mind, and I've been placing them in various different areas on my body and kind of just determining how effectively it's been working in different capacities. But from a professional standpoint, all of my connections that have maybe blood pressure issues or some sort of heart issue or lung issues, I always introduce them to carnitine.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, and you guys are going to really enjoy each other. These are two doctors that have just a servant's heart and are of service, wanting to really support people that are, disadvantaged in the world and give them medical support and help. So thank you both for your wonderful work in the world. It's really touching. So let's see, we have a question from Brianna, and she says, is there any advice for an individual who's feeling strong nausea with patching?
Hmm. That's an interesting question. It kind of depends upon where you're patching. So take into consideration that each and every place that you patch is an acupuncture location, and it is representative of a particular meridian, and that meridian is associated with an organ system or a part of the body. And so, if you change your energetics by patching those locations really quickly, sometimes our bodies can have what we would consider to be an adverse effect. So I would just adjust the patch location. So maybe you could share with me where you're patching and what you're patching, and maybe I can have a little bit more insight, or maybe we can discuss that in more detail offline later.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you. Vicky's asking, she's got some fibroids that are quite large, and will patches help? If so, which ones would work best?
So that's a very interesting conversation that we've had a lot. There's various different individuals who join calls that I've been a part of, and they ask about female reproductive health and those sorts of things. So the one of the common locations for patching with the X39 is to put it just beneath the navel on conception vessel 4. And so that's a midline meridian that comes right down the front of the body. And so if you go just a couple of points lower than that, closer to the pubic bone, you'll actually have the opportunity to patch right over the uterus. And so I think the X39 would be excellent. I think Eon would be excellent, patching right over the uterus. And then also, I think that there's been some fairly significant responses to patching with Nirvana. And Nirvana actually engages the pituitary gland in the brain, and that is upstream of the hormone production that actually generates all your reproductive organ function. So your progesterone, estrogen, those sorts of things that regulate your reproductive cycle. If you can have better control of those hormones, then perhaps the fibroids will calm down a little bit, hopefully.
Great. Well, thank you for that. Now, we've got a few questions about the vaccine. One person's saying, I wear my X39 and glutathione 3 to 4 times a week. What is recommended when I get my second COVID vaccine? And then also asked, can you use X39 after vaccination?
That's a really good question. I don't think that you need to adjust your patching protocol because you have taken the vaccination. I know that the vaccination is going to cause your immune system to have a response. I mean, that's the whole idea behind the vaccination, is that you want to prime your immune system so that in the instance that you do come in contact with a virus or with a bacteria, your immune system immediately knows what to do. There's already antibodies produced to help identify these pathogens, and your immune system, boom, attacks. And so I think a glutathione does roughly the exact same thing in a different way. So perhaps there might be a response. People tend to have a little bit of a what we call a healing crisis with glutathione. They might feel a little lethargy. They might feel tired, headache, might have an aggressive bowel movement or something like that. So just be cognizant of those sorts of things. But I don't think off the top of my head there's a reason why you should adjust your patch protocol because you've had a vaccination.
Okay, well, that's very helpful for a lot of people right now. Um, Also, if someone's had a triple bypass a few months ago, can they use X39?
Yes, yes. There's
Especially, yes.
and I would be very aggressive, right? I think now if you're out of the hospital and now comfortable, obviously having your sternum cracked is going to be a big thing to be able to go in and have those arteries repaired. So the X39 and Eon could be very powerful for helping with pain reduction after the surgery and helping to repair and mend the bones and soft tissue that was damaged by going into, some pretty invasive surgery. And I would do carnosine and I would do glutathione. So I would have the whole Y age group plus X39, and I would really be diligent about that. Um, Number one, just so that you could heal from the surgery, and number two, whatever the culprit is that caused that plaque buildup that eventually damaged those arteries and required the surgery, you can go in and begin to help uh, hopefully clean out those arteries and have better circulation and those sorts of things so that you don't run into another necessity for a surgery later.
Great. And I want to finish up, Dr. Jeff, because there's lots of people mentioning kind of disease states in here, and I don't want to go there. That's not what we do here. But if you could share what you've shared in the past about, typically in our medical world, we do a this for that, but this is different. And you shared it so beautifully several weeks ago of, what patches, if someone has a disease state, there's some general patches for everybody, but how you talk about addressing a disease state.
Sure, and I just think it's just a societal thing, and I think it's important to kind of address a different way of thinking. So traditionally, in our healthcare system, you go to the doctor when you're ill, or when something has happened. And so I'm of the mindset that if we can get to the problem or the disease or the issue prior to, then there will be a significant reduction in healthcare problems. And so I believe that proactively, these patches bring our body into physiological balance and in alignment. And when you have these molecules that are beneficial and therapeutic, whether it's from a detox perspective, whether it's from a genetic production of proteins and molecules that are healthy, whether it's from a energetic change, you are experiencing a full body um, uh, balancing act, right? And from that point, your body is functioning at a more optimal level, and you actually are getting to the problem before it actually occurs. And so instead of thinking about it from the standpoint of whether or not our patch technology can help with a particular problem, think about it from the standpoint that you want to bring your body into balance. So you want to bring your body into the state of um, aging where you were 12, 15. And at that point, your body is capable of doing things that it once wasn't able to do, and you're capable of healing in a completely different capacity. And that's what we're seeing is that individuals well into their 70s are starting to have unbelievable testimonies about how their body is functioning by just bringing it into balance and raising those particular molecules that are really beneficial for us. And so to me, that's really the next stage of healthcare, is to put our bodies into a really healing state. And so, regardless of what's going on environmentally, with our diet, with our with our physical exercise, those things don't matter as much if our body's in this anabolic state of healing.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it's a different mindset we're talking about, different than conventionally how we're raised. You do a this for that. But what you're talking about is getting the body so healthy that whatever comes our way, it can handle it. And if it needs a little help, we've got support to do that, right?
Exactly, exactly. Then you can tackle it on another level. But to me, that's the beauty of it, is that, and I've been telling people, I get calls all the time, hey, doc, what can I do to prevent myself from contracting the virus? And I'm like, well, cleaning is one thing, wearing a mask is another thing, social distancing is another thing. But how about just make your body bulletproof? And that's really what these patches are capable of doing, is just making your body well aware of what's going on, and makes it kind of like a fortress that can't be penetrated.
I love it. That's what I say to people. Make your body an unfriendly place for any disease to happen. Keep
That's
that
it.
immune system strong and lower the stress, hydrate, get good rest, good nutrition, and we can get through just about anything. Well, Dr. Jeffrey, it's always a treat to have you. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I want you to share with people about, I want to write it in the chat section because you have a special program and I want to make sure everyone knows how to learn more from you. So let me write it in the chat section. So would you let me know how they can tap into your Ask Dr. Jeffrey call or program?
Absolutely. So, guys, every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, we have an interactive Zoom experience. It's called Ask Dr. Jeff. So, if you enjoyed asking questions and getting answers, that's pretty much what we do all day on Wednesday. And you can join us by typing into your search engine or uh, askdrjeff.org. And that will take you right to um, the Zoom call, and we start promptly at 8 p.m. Central, and we go for about 30 to 40 minutes, depending upon how great the questions are. And it's an opportunity to have a high level discussion about how to utilize the patches, where to apply them, and other questions like you guys have been asking tonight. So I recognize that sometimes it can be a little daunting to figure out where to place the patches and how to wear the patches, or if you have some particular issue that maybe is not resolving as fast as you'd like it to. Um, Perhaps we can give you some insight and some direction on how to accomplish that.
That is a huge contribution to people, Dr. Jeff. Thank you so much for offering that. So Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Central Time, askdrjeff.org. And that will get you into the program. And so that's tomorrow night.
All
So
night.
we want to make sure people know about that. You're an amazing resource and support for this community, and so grateful that you are with us and sharing your wisdom with everyone. And thank you all for showing up tonight. There's a lot of you. Our groups get bigger and bigger and bigger, which is really fun. And we need your voices to share the good news. So if you're new, please get back to the person who invited you to the call and learn about our programs. We have a wonderful customer program. And if you're the kind of person that likes to share, there's a wonderful opportunity, and it is a really amazing timing because the company's in a state of hyper growth. So there's a great opportunity. We have a wonderful way to reward everyone. And we have a big conference coming up this Saturday. So if even if you're not a member yet, you can still participate. So ask the person who invited you. I think you'll be inspired by joining our NOVA conference this Saturday. And I think it's time for us to complete the call. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. And thank you in Facebook land. I lean over here to Facebook. And we do have these programs available. This will be available tomorrow on the liveyoungeryoutube.com channel. And you'll be able to find it there if you want to share it with someone else or re-listen to anything that happened tonight. So good night, everybody. And thank you so much for being with us. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.